Oh, it did sort of brick as it was loading, so I'm not really sure what's happening, but the censorship is just insane. And it's so weird because as much as of a validator and a justifier as the censorship ends up being, I mean, if I was wrong, why would they put in the effort? It doesn't matter because nobody sees it. It's the ultimate weapon. It sits here and it creates this false sense of righteousness. That's not. It's false in that it doesn't exist outside of the situation. But it's true. It's actually very true sense of righteousness. And again, I sure do garner a lot of attention for somebody that's fucking wrong all the time. But what does it matter? Makes me wonder if I suddenly showed up on some truther podcast as a guest, how many people would be like, holy shit, I remember this guy. I was looking for him, especially after October 7th. He was right. He told us it was going to happen. I wonder. I wonder. Am I just gonna get bricked all day today? Is that how this is gonna go now? Because the first feed started to actually kind of get going. We got all the way up to 14. Popular guy. This is all so strange. You'd think it would be harder to be this person. Like, it's difficult emotionally and all that stuff, but the validation, the justification for being this person is consistently there. And it's like, again, everything I look into, it's not like I have to twist things and, exaggerate things. Like again, like the the video I was talking about from earlier where the guy supposedly snuck into the Freemason society and filmed their rituals and all that other shit. And how he says that in all of the time they talked about another creator that wasn't just the standard God, but somebody else. And not once was Satan mentioned, but it was Satan. And it's just like, again, like your narrow viewpoint, because you go into it thinking one thing, you see what you want to see. You pick apart what you want to pick apart. But, and I attribute a lot of this I at least attribute the explanation to Dr. Judy Wood. The only reason her explanation rang so true to me is because that's what I do. But she says that as a forensic engineer, she would go to building collapses and she wouldn't want to talk to anybody and she wouldn't want to hear about it from anyone because she didn't want anybody else's opinions influencing her perspective. And she wanted the evidence to tell her what happened, not other people. Well, I think this happened because, because if you say, oh, it was a controlled demolition, then you're going to find stuff that fits the controlled demolition. You're going to find other things that don't fit it, but because they don't fit your narrative, you don't hold on to them as well. And so that's I approach everything that same way, especially the historical narrative. And it's shocking how every time you go looking at stuff, it's never like, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. Especially once you get past like the 40s, you get earlier than the 40s. And even later than that for sure, but especially back then, you start hearing these stories, and like you hear about that architect that I was talking about that built these monumental structures that still exist to this day, that that don't fit. You can't fathom or picture how someone back in the 19 teens, 1920s, what were they using to manufacture these things? How were they doing it? And so when you try to find that information, you can't. There's no construction record, no photos, no, you know, shipping information, no supply info, none of it. None of it exists. Apparently the people that like to save all kinds of stupid shit just because that's who we are, when it came to all these accomplishments, these monumental accomplishments, apparently building buildings like that were so commonplace that it didn't matter. Nobody thought, hey, we should save the record of these because, one day they won't be able to do this and they'll wonder about it. Those buildings were just everywhere. That's why they had to be destroyed through great fires or wars or whatever it may be. That's why you find the same narrative in everything. But it's like, to me, it always comes down to the same thought process. If I'm wrong, you do to me what I'm doing to this because I think this is wrong, so I'm going to look into it. Or I think it might be wrong. I should say that. It could always be true. It could always be right, and I could read it, and it would just be like, oh, yeah, I guess I never thought about it that way. That makes sense. And that seems pretty accurate. That could always happen. It never does, but it could. So, if you want to know more about what I was talking about, I'm talking about the Kiwanis Organization International, an international service club founded in 1915 in Detroit, Michigan. In 1987, they began to accept women. Clubs have more than 600,000 members. Clubs raise over $100 million each year and report over 18.5 million volunteer hours to strengthen the community and serve children. They serve children. I decided to look into the history. I'll restart the history because I didn't get too far into it. The organization originated in August 1914 in Detroit, Michigan. How come as soon as I start talking about this, the feed starts getting wonky every time? This is the third video I've done. And talking about this particular thing seems to fuck it up every time. What's going on? The Kiwanis organization. Apparently this is a no-no. So this is a conversation happening in 1914. I want you to do your best to try to picture what 1914 in your head. Are people on their iPads and shit? Is it advanced by any means? I mean, it's crazy because our heads are programmed that way. Our heads are programmed with the pictures that we've all seen that show, our monumental cities, our downtowns and shit. Detroit was a sprawling metropolis with large skyscrapers all over the place in 1919. Like, what the fuck are we even talking about? Keeps cutting your connection. Why do you think that is? Does that happen all the time? Do you see somebody talking about what happened on SmackDown yesterday, and their feed keeps getting fucked with? Do you see people talking about, Trump did this, Trump did that, and their feed gets fucked with? No. I don't see anybody else. I watch a lot of YouTube. I don't see anyone else's shit ever getting fucked with. My kids live on this shit. Do you ever see anybody else complain their feed and how it's getting messed some way or another? No. I mean, it's 2025. I live in the fucking suburbs of Detroit. There are cell phone towers all around me. There should be no interference. There should be no interruptions. There should be, or if they are, they should be few and far between. So, in purpose, how else do you explain it? You're seeing something you don't see anywhere else. Shouldn't that a big fireworks going off and green flags everywhere? Hey, look, something different. In this sea of similarity, there's something different. And yet people continue to sit here and act like, one, I get any sort of benefit from this. Oh, you're just doing this for attention. Whole 3 viewers, but look at me. But two, that I'm wrong. I'm making any of this up. What the fuck? If I'm just gonna make up some bullshit to get attention, I should be telling you guys all about how great Jesus is and how much Jesus affects my everyday life. I mean, at this point, just laughing at us, right? They're just flipping the switch, laughing. You guys see this, right? What's the fucking point? Well, I'm going to keep reading about this because clearly this is something we're not supposed to know about. I mean, what did I read about the other day that was so shocking? And I can't even remember what the fuck it was. I'm lost. I have to look it back up, but it was game changer shit. I need to go look it up again so it stays in my head. Brown's idea was to solicit businesses and professional men, asking them if they'd be interested in for his operating budget. They're just laughing at us. Compensated by who? I'm not really sure, but Brown and Prance set out and recruited enough members to apply to the state for nonprofit status. How many members do you need to have before you can apply for nonprofit status? And this is in 1914, remember. These guys are out there soliciting and gaining membership by what? Standing on the corner preaching and shit? The state approved the application on January 21st, 1915. So the idea originated in August. In August of 1914, they decided, hey, let's come up with this. We don't know if it's the beginning of August or the end, but we'll give them August 1st. Okay. August, September, October, November, December. August, September, October, November, December, January. Basically all of January 21st. So 6 months later, they have gathered enough members into this brand new organization that's a fraternal organization, and that they can achieve nonprofit status. And I mean, if the application was on January 21st, when was it actually submitted? You have to take that into account. So it could be 5 months, because I can't imagine it would be submitted any earlier than, you know, December. But knowing how long government takes, I mean, you know, that could take forever. But apparently, whatever. The state approved the application on January 21st, 1915, and the Supreme Lodge Benevolent Order Brothers were formed. The name was changed to Kiwanis, Kiwanis, because again, Supreme Lodge was a little pompous, don't you think? Lot to say, too. By 1927, the organization had more than 100,000 members. We're all caught up. Kiwanis became international with the organization of the Kiwanis Club of Ham. This is fun. Kiwanis limited its members to the United States and Canada until 1962, when worldwide expansion was approved. Since then, Kiwanis has spread to all inhabited continents of the globe. The original purpose of Kiwanis was to exchange business between members and to serve the poor. Aww. The debate as to whether to focus on networking or service was resolved in 1919 when Kiwanis adopted a service-focused mission. In 1924, the objects of Kiwanis were adopted and remain unchanged today. See above. That must be in the ideals. The Kiwanis motto, serving the children of the world. The original motto was, we trade. A new motto of we build was adopted during the 1920 International Convention and represented Kiwanis for more than 80 years.